Hello, everyone. Hello. I should turn my light on over here. It's been a minute since I've been making videos. I've had a lot of stuff going on here at home. Merry Christmas to everyone. We still have 30 minutes for Christmas on the East Coast. If you live elsewhere, it might still be Christmas. It may be after Christmas, but either way, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Everybody had a good one this weekend. I worked all weekend. So for me, it was just a normal weekend, pretty much, in terms of what I was doing. However, we are here and hopefully going to have a good time tonight. Whoops, sorry, my audio levels are a little off. Hopefully that fixed it. Hello, South Texas Shark, Team Airrick member. How are you doing? We got a few other people here. Thank you guys so much for joining. Joey, Justin, 3Dub, Canada Grass is here. Hey, Canada Grass, Jordan. Byron's in the house. Thank you so much. Fetman. I did invite a couple of people. We'll see if they make it or not. I don't know how long the stream is going to be. Hold on, I have to do something very quickly. All right, pull that up. And all right. We're going to use a website I hate in just a second. Only because I want to prove something. So we'll talk about that. 24/7 Christmas-a-thon. Yeah, I don't know if I can do that or not. Hold on. Where's it at? I had a video bookmarked that we're going to watch together as a family, as a community. All right, let's see. Yeah, we'll keep that open. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, I hate to be cryptic. Hey, Dino Dragon, how are you doing? How's everybody doing? All right, so we're going to be talking about Rebel Moon and Aquaman 2. I've seen Rebel Moon twice now. Watched it a few days ago, and then I watched it again today, so I could kind of reassert myself with what I was watching. And I just got in from Aquaman 2, literally an hour ago. So I just got in from Aquaman 2. So a lot to talk about. Yes, yeah, Jasmine, twice, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, twice. Let me get my banner going down here. Let's see. I'm going to bookmark some comments here. This is one of my complaints, actually, Justin, as we get into it. Let me see. Where's my DMs at? Where are my DMs at? Okay, there we go. Open that up separately. And yeah. Let's see. I got, what did I get for Christmas? I got a few things. But they're all like just tiny, like memorabilia type stuff. I didn't ask for a lot of stuff this year. Paigey has arrived in the building with a big storm happening over there, apparently destroying Australia.
Oh, no. On the floor. Cal, step back.
Does he even know that I'm here? I don't think he can hear us. Is he on the toilet?
Tapping on the meter. Oh fuck! This is uncomfortable. There we go.
What is he doing?
What's doing?
What are you? What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Are you cooking? What are you doing?
Oh, I was just heating up some food.
Oh,
in the microwave.
It sounded like you were like dismembering a transformer or something. It was really loud. Yeah, it sounded really loud. So I was like, all right.
Well, my apologies. My apologies for disturbing.
I didn't say no. I didn't say it disturbed me. I just we were wondering what you were doing. Is all.
Mm.
Anyway, so I'm assuming you have not seen Aquaman yet.
It came out today in Australia, okay. But I didn't see it because Boxing Day was too busy. So I'm thinking I'll see it on not tomorrow, but maybe Thursday or Friday.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to give away any like major spoilers, but I am going to talk about it quite extensively. Look, I'll be honest. There's not much to spoil. There's a character plot storyline thingy that happens that is kind of spoilery, but outside of that, everything you see in the trailers is pretty much what the movie is. It's not gonna. There's no twist or turns or anything like that. It's your standard, like, 3-act movie, pretty much. So
okay.
Anyway, but I'm going to talk about my thoughts on it. I'm not going to spoil any of this how it ends and all that. I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to spoil the fuck out of Rebel Moon. So
well, I'll leave my thoughts until we get to Rebel Moon. We'll start off with Aquaman so you can divulge, and then we'll get into
all right. We'll do Aquaman first. All right. So again, I'm not going to spoil anything. So guys, if you haven't seen it, don't worry. I'm not going to give away any major like plots or anything. So let's take a look at everybody's favorite site, Rotten Tomatoes, to see where Aquaman is right now. So we're looking at a 35% critic score and an 80% fan score. Now, assuming that those have not been manipulated, because that's the thing, is Rotten Tomatoes is very manipulative. Is that the manipulative? When it comes to scoring, we found out that critics are getting paid off. We found out that you can bot the fuck out of the fan scores. So in terms of that, I don't know what the takeaway from this is, but if we take it at face value, the critics do not like this movie. 35%, that veers into like disrespectful territory for me, because I know that the number is just aggregated for Rotten Tomatoes, but it just means that people really, 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 like, critics really hated this movie. Now, the fan score being 80% does not shock me, because the movie is as stupid and fast and furious as the first movie was. It really is just another version of that first movie. There's nothing, I guess, inventive or different about it. It doesn't feel like I'll be honest, the only thing that feels like they changed was the third act. And I don't want to go too far into that because that is a spoilery part of it, but it feels like the third act was changed. Like there's a definitive moment in the movie where something happens and you're like, oh, that's where the reshoots were in that part of the movie. I mean, if it's not, I'd be very surprised. But based on like everything we were hearing from the test screenings and how the third act was supposed to go, like a big monster battle type thing, if that was what they were intending to do, then what they did in the third act changed it dramatically. And I don't know if it was a better change, to be completely honest. I would say if we're looking at the 4 DC movies this year, which would be Shazam 2, God, it feels like that movie was forever ago, but Shazam 2, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and now Aquaman, this was my least favorite DC movie this year. I enjoyed Blue Beetle more than this. And Blue Beetle was fun and slightly above mid, but I feel like Aquaman is just mid. It's just a mid movie. And there may be some people that like this more than Blue Beetle. There might be things in here that people like that make it better than Blue Beetle for them. But for me, probably the biggest issue, and it was you got a little bit of it in the first movie, but it was very prevalent in this movie, is Jason Momoa was just playing Jason Momoa. You know what I mean? Like he was just like, I don't feel like he was acting. I feel like this was like Jason Momoa just being himself in the movie. And to me, I kind of grew out of that with Will Smith and like The Rock. Those were the two actors that I kind of felt, you know, same thing with like, in some ways, like Nicolas Cage and stuff. They all sort of just play slight variations of who they are. And we did get a little bit of that in some of his other Aquaman, you know, the other different movies he's been Aquaman in. But this movie felt like his Thor Love and Thunder moment. You know, it felt like they just did not pull back enough. They didn't tell him, hey, that's probably not good. You need to reel it back in a little bit. If that makes any sense. Like it felt too much like Jason Momoa was driving the movie with his charisma. And not enough of the movie was an actual movie. I also, isn't it Patrick Wilson? Isn't that the actor that plays Orm? Is that his name? Is that the actor's name?
I think it's pronounced Patrick, but yeah.
Best part of the movie. Literally the best character in the movie. The only character in the movie that has any semblance of a storyline. The only character that feels like they start somewhere and end up somewhere else. Literally best character in the movie. Hands down. No one's better than him. Not even Black Manta's storyline was better than him. Aquaman was almost his sidekick in the movie. Actually, in the movie, even in that poster that we see right there, he feels more like Aquaman than Aquaman does. He plays more like what I would expect from Aquaman than Jason Momoa. Whereas in the first movie, I think Jason did a good job of like reinventing Aquaman. I think in this movie, he just went too far with it.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Without saying it, obviously, we would have talked about this whenever it was, ages ago. But when it said that he was like a person on the story or something like that, that's when I got concerned. I was like, because I've never heard of Jason Momoa being a writer.
Right.
So when he was like writing a pitch and stuff for this movie, I was like, not too sure about that. Maybe leave it to the writers and stuff like that.
You know what's funny, Paigey, is Rebel Moon, in a lot of ways, there's things in this movie that feels like that movie. And what I mean by that is, because we're going to get to the Rebel Moon stuff, and this is one of my criticisms of Rebel Moon. We'll talk more about it. But
what? You only have one criticism?
One of them. One of my criticisms.
One of them.
It feels like we're just going from scene to scene to scene to scene. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like there's sort of a through line in between moments. It feels like here's this scene, hard cut, here's this scene, hard cut, here's the scene. That happens a lot in this movie, and I wonder if that has to do with the fact that they had to change so much of the film because of what was going on with the DCEU. I wonder if they had massive changes that had to happen, you know, in post-production, that changed the direction of the movie in that way.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case, because we heard that they did reshoots and stuff like that, and that was probably to maybe flesh out some stuff where they had to replace certain scenes or just replace those scenes themselves. So probably.
Martin with the 99-cent super chat. Martin, like it's so weird. Whenever we bring your name up, like the next week, you just show up. It's almost like magic. But thank you for coming in and supporting. I appreciate it. We do have some super chats not related to the topics. We'll answer those in a bit. But we do have a member chat from Dino Dragon here, member for 13 months. Unfortunately, the DCEU has ended, not on a high note, but a whimper, creative financially. Here's hoping the DCU becomes what we all want with DC. By the way, there is a post-credit scene in this movie, but it has nothing to do with anything moving forward. It's just for the people that loved the Aquaman franchise. So if you care about that, stick around for it. If you don't, literally, there's no point in waiting for the. It's not really a post-credit scene, mid-credit scene, basically. I feel like this. So a couple of issues with this movie is I think it took too long to come out. I think this movie should have came out like 2 years ago.
Well, it was meant to come out last year, so this was meant to come out. I think. I can't remember when it was. It was last year. It was meant to come out, but was the Flash meant to come out last year?
The Flash got
Black
moved
Adam
around a
came
lot,
out.
so I mean,
Yeah, this was meant to be the first movie out of the 4 that came out this year. It was meant to be Aquaman, then I think like Shazam, then Flash, then Blue Beetle.
here's
So
the
it
deal,
got
though.
shifted from the first of the 4 to being the last of the 4.
Right, and I think that this movie's if today is any indication, because we were looking around today to find a showtime to watch it, it was sold out everywhere. So I think it's going to post really big numbers from tonight. Like tomorrow, we'll see a bump in sales. This may end up being the most financially successful DCEU movie of the year.
That was the thing I noticed. Like people were going like, "Oh, it bombed" and stuff like that, and I was like, "Well, it still made 40 million," and the first one made 1.3 billion. Was it a 1.
Yeah,
whatever it made?
It was like 1.2. It was like 1.28 something, I think.
And that only made 70 million in its first week. So it's made over half. Now, I'm not saying it's going to make 500 million, but it still might. And like apparently it's doing okay overseas and stuff like that. So
I will say this movie was made for a overseas market. Like there's a lot of stuff in this movie that James Wan, I think, sat down with the storyboard and was like, okay, this will play well here. This will play well here. The trailer for this from the Asian market was better than any American trailer and the international trailer. Because it did sort of represent what the movie actually is. However, the one misleading part about that trailer is that it's not a serious movie at all. At all.
Yeah.
This movie is, I know it's like an action adventure movie, but this movie, and I want to brace everybody if you haven't seen this, it is a comedy. This movie is a comedy through and through. There are there's a few serious moments in it, and most of it revolves around like the plot, like the reason why the battle's happening. Outside of that, it is a buddy cop movie with him and his brother. And I mean, that's what we saw. What you see in the trailer, if you go to the movie and you're like, oh, I don't like humor and jokes, if you don't like that from the trailer, you're not going to like it in the movie, because it's even more of that in the movie than it was in the trailer.
Yeah.
So just expect that from the film. So I also talk about, somebody said, let's talk about Amber Heard or whatever, about Mira. She's not very big in the film. She's, without spoiling the end of the movie, because I don't want to do that. She is important to the plot in one way and one way only. And it becomes very, very obvious when we really don't even see her at all in the second act of the film. It's very obvious what her role is going to be in the movie. I don't really care. Like, let me ask you a question. Do you really care about the Amber Heard stuff? Does it really bother you at all? Like what happened with Johnny Depp?
Why?
Like, does it matter? Like, if you see her in a movie, are you gonna be like, I'm not going to see a movie because Amber Heard is in it? Does it bother you in that way?
I think if anyone has that mentality, they're a bit of a fucking idiot. But
I do not get that vibe from the general public. I know we talk about it a lot on the internet, but I like to separate like what we talk about here to what is actually happening. I don't think most people care about that. I don't think they do, especially when she's not the main character.
The general audience, no, because, and also, any sort of thoughts you would have had about Amber Heard anyway were there with the first one.
Right. Like, think about this. I think the biggest sort of like pseudo boycott thing that I can think of financially that might have had something to do with the actor was the Flash movie. But I think there was a lot of other issues with that movie.
There was more issues that, like, I was like, most of the general public wouldn't have even known about the Ezra Miller thing. Vast majority, like 95%, if not more, of the potential audience wouldn't have known anything about it.
I don't think the studio was confident in the Flash movie. It was very obvious that they just didn't. They weren't doing a lot.
Flash had. Yeah.
Same thing with this movie, though. This movie got they didn't do like a traditional red carpet premiere for this movie. It just kind of
they did a fan event with like TikTokers, and that was it. But the thing is, they had a premiere planned. Like they had the plan, they had reserved the thing and like the location where they would do it, and then they didn't. They just called it off. It was almost like COVID or something like that. Which is and also because people were pointing out, well, hold on, you did one for Wonka and The Color Purple, and arguably Aquaman might make more than both of them, if not maybe both of them combined, if you include the overseas thing. But I think it's also those two movies are like Oscar movies, while Aquaman I mean, it might get nominated for VFX. But
I think that this movie will probably do pretty solid this week, and then it'll just drop off after that. That's what I think.
Yeah, like the only thing is that it's hard with any type of movie around this time of the year. It's hard. The only thing is that you have a movie like Wonka. What's the other? Isn't there like another like family movie out? I can't remember.
Color Purple is out. I don't know if that counts or as a.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a family movie, but you know what I mean. Like,
by the way, we had a crying baby 2 seats down from us. It was really fucking annoying. Finally, the parents took him out, and I was like, oh.
I don't understand like when people bring their. Fair enough if it's like a 4-year-old or something. When it's like
well, look, we knew that with it being Christmas Day, that early showings were going to be filled with kids, most likely. I just kind of knew that. So I was like, let's go to the latest showing they have, which for us, it was like 8:30 or something. I was like, we'll go to that showing. So that's the one we went to. And there wasn't a lot of kids in there, but it just so happens there was like the screaming loud kid was in the row with us. And then let me tell you about this. Someone's phone fucking rang in the third act. And they actually picked it up and started talking on the phone in the row, like 2 rows back from us. I was like,
what were they talking about?
I don't know. I could hear them talking, but I don't know what they're talking
about. It would have been worse if they put on loudspeaker. That would have been the cherry on top.
That would have been really funny, actually.
Hello? Yeah, it's Jeff.
But, yeah, just having a fucking conversation while the movie's playing. That would have been hilarious. But where we were sitting, because the place we go to is like, I think I've told you this before, our theater is a full restaurant. Like it has a full menu and everything. And so we had drinks. So we were pretty tipsy like early on because we got there a little early and had a few drinks. And so we're sitting there and the family next to us, I swear to you that the kids had to go to the bathroom every 10 minutes. And the father ordered a pitcher of a mug of beer, whatever, a pint, whatever it is, the big one. I don't drink beer, so I don't know. Whatever the big one is. And I swear to God, he barely got to drink any of it because he was just the mother would not do it. So he had to they had 2 kids. They just kept taking them he kept going to the bathroom with his kids all the time. It's like, hold on. Like, no, I'm not going to come to a movie and do that. But yeah, it was a pretty unique experience. I think the weirdest thing that we ever had happen was somebody actually fainted in a movie we were in. It was Shang-Chi. That was what it was. I think I remember talking about it. Like, it's like we were at the movie and about halfway through somebody like collapsed and they had to stop the movie and bring in the medics and
I probably got 2 was the just a couple started like fighting and verbally fighting and not leaving the theater. I just started fighting in the theater, yelling at each other. And then the other one, I think I've said this before, but I went to a movie with a friend and he randomly brought like his friend. So it's this person I never really met. Mm-hmm. And then like halfway through the movie he goes, I gotta go to the toilet. And I go, okay. He doesn't leave the theater. He just bends down and pees in the front.
Oh my God.
Into the row in front, like the gap. And I'm sitting there going, okay. And the funny thing was that he dropped his wallet into his own piss. But anyway.
Oh my God. So the funny thing is that Amber Heard again is only in the movie to serve one of the storylines, and outside of that, she's not in the film. So
yeah,
I'm not really sure,
from what I heard is that they did a test screening where she wasn't in it really at all outside, I think, the opening montage or something like that of the movie, and then they realized it didn't work. They had to put her back in.
Right.
But the thing is that I personally think she's the best thing about the first movie.
Well, I mean, let's be clear here. She's very powerful. Like in the movie, she's very powerful. But again, I guess they realize she's controversial. It doesn't matter. She's not going to be working with this. She's not going to be working with James Gunn in the future. So I don't even know. The VFX were pretty good. They weren't solid. There is some really wacky green screen stuff that happens. One of the things I've noticed recently is they're getting really lazy with their green screen stuff. In movies in general, like it's gotten to the point where either they're trying something different and it's not working, or they're just not rendering stuff correctly. I don't know what it is.
One issue that I was wondering about this movie is that they changed teams that they used to work on it. So they filmed it in Australia, the first one, and then they filmed the second one in England.
Right.
And you don't really like if something that's technical like this, you'd use the same team.
Right.
Because they built a water tank and everything to do the first one.
I don't think they did that in this one. It doesn't feel.
No, I think Jason Momoa said like there was some things, but it was like a really small water tank. and it was just to, I think, get like actions, like body actions and stuff.
Mm.
They didn't do anything actually in them.
You want to know
and then
also,
everything else was CGI.
90% of this movie takes place outside of the water. So,
well, I assume that based off the trailer.
Yeah, be prepared. It's
not that much, but at least a decent amount.
I mean, seriously, after we get done with like the second act, it really is like the ocean is not any more important than any other movie where you're fighting in the water. Like it's really straight. That's what I mean. Like without spoiling it, in the third act, clearly something changed, and they couldn't film what they wanted to film because it would have been too expensive. So they did something else. So Laura here says, I heard there's a post-credit scene. It's a mid-credit scene, at least it was for us. And it doesn't matter. It's inconsequential. If you like this franchise and you want to get like a little extra nugget of something from these characters, you would stick around for it. If you don't care, it literally doesn't matter. It's again, inconsequential scene. Canograph said it's because they're simply putting too many big projects out that require a lot of work. More work, use less time frame for work on it properly. Yeah, except for this movie has been sitting in post-production for 2 years. That's the thing. Like, I buy that excuse if a movie is under its normal time crunch, but this movie got pushed back. I feel like they could have done a little bit more. And when I tell you there's bad VFX in this, I mean there's bad VFX in it. It's I can't believe this movie was expensive as it is because it's very obvious. Very, very obvious. But, you know. Look, do I think it's a 35%? No. I don't agree with that score. I think that's, again, a kind of a disrespectful score. This movie, in like, if you want my straightforward opinion about it, which I'm guessing you guys do, it's an action comedy/action film that really just feels very similar to the first movie. The only thing that kind of lets it down is the VFX and Jason Momoa not really being Aquaman. I think if you were to watch this movie right after the other movie, it'd be like a stark contrast between him in that first film and him in this film. And I think that's unfortunate because I feel like if he would have just nailed it, it would have been fine. Plus, honestly, I think the script had some weak lines in it, especially the stuff from Black Manta. Black Manta, his storyline. So let me think what I can say without spoiling the end of the movie. So we're aware that he gets the Black Trident. That's pretty obvious. We see that in the trailer. Let's just say that his storyline would have been so much better if they would not have chosen to do what they did with the Black Trident, because then it diminishes every single bit of his agency throughout the movie. And you'll see that throughout the film. And it makes me really mad because I want that character to be, for his motivations to be 100% because of what he wanted to do. And there's other things at play in the movie that sort of push him in that direction. And it becomes very obvious that those things are kind of manipulating him in a way that diminishes his agency. And I didn't like that part. And it did feel like some of his lines were really stupid. The fight scenes are good. Like the fight choreography is really strong. There's like every fight scene is kind of cool in the movie. There's probably, let me think, there's about 3 or 4 really, really, really good like fight scenes in the movie. But I will stand by the fact that I think Orm has the best storyline in the film. Best character, best lines, best acting, and the best storyline. Literally the best one. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people, felt the same way when they came out of the film. So when are you going to see it? Because I'm curious what your thoughts are going to be on this after you go.
I said it'd be like on maybe Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
Depending on certain things.
Anyway, but yeah, we'll see. A lot of people were saying, about how the movie's probably going to be a massive flop or whatever. I'm going to hold off on like putting my stamp on it being a flop.
You got to remember, people said that about the first one on its first week.
Right.
Like, you don't, with any movie, you don't know around this time of the year just because they pretty much get, all of December, though this released a bit later than it did, I think, last for the first one. But then it gets pretty much all of January, and then maybe if it still has some.
Keep in mind, we have a while before another superhero movie comes out. This one's got some time to cook a little bit.
When does that Madam Web
Deadpool doesn't come out until the middle of the summer, and I don't know when Madam Web comes out.
Yeah, isn't Madam Web like one of your more anticipated ones?
No, I want to see it for I want to see it for the memes, but I'm not really like super looking forward to it. So
I don't know about that one.
So
you're saying you're excited.
I'm very excited for that one. So one of the things I was thinking about doing, and I thought about this today, is I'm going to do
thinking that's not a good idea.
I know. Is I might do a stream called Open Bar. And what I'll do is I'll have like a Discord server for people. We're not going to see any like penises or anything else.
No, I thought it was going to be called Open Up.
No, Open Bar.
Sus.
And I'll start like a Discord server with just a voice server in it. I don't know how many you can have on there. I think maybe 10. Is it 10 people on a voice channel, or are they?
Yeah, but you just do the thing where you put like a waiting room and then the actual thing, and then you drag people in and out.
So what'll happen is anybody that wants to join and chat about stuff can join the Open Bar and like jump in and be part of the conversation. I'll get that all set up in January. So there we go. Yeah, your member chat went through. I'm getting ready to discuss those now, Lone Wolf. So thank you so much. I'm gonna pull them up on the screen. Dino Dragon says, all right, I need to head out, watch the rest on playback. Have a lovely Christmas, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Thank you, Dino Dragon. Merry Christmas to you as well. All right, so we got 2 chats here. We got a member chat from Lone Wolf. Merry Christmas. Seen What If season 2 yet? Pretty good. I don't think Paige's watching What If. So pretty sure he hasn't seen it.
LOL.
Yeah. I'm enjoying it. I think the animation on the first 2 episodes is superior. I think the 3rd episode, I know Cody knows the answer to this, and I saw him in the chat earlier because he just reads way more than I do. I can't read anything. But anyway, I think the 3rd episode is basically that Gamora episode that was supposed to be in season 1 that got pulled, if I remember correctly. Because the 3rd episode, the one that came out with Gamora was that the 3rd episode or was the 2nd episode? I don't even know. 4th episode?
You're asking the wrong guy.
I don't know. They're releasing an episode a day. Episode 4. Okay, yes. So anyway, I do believe that is that was a holdover from the first season, but I could be wrong because I remember them saying there was going to be a Gamora episode that didn't come out. But the first 3 episodes were really strong for me. I think the first one wasn't the strongest. Second one was my absolute favorite, and I enjoyed the Christmas episode. That was fun too. But the one from today was the Gamora episode, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I like What If because I like Elseworlds. I think I've said this to Paige before. I enjoy those kinds of stories more than time travel. I think time travel can be problematic because you start affecting the actual properties that you're watching. Whereas with like Elseworld stories, you can forget, you can like do it. And if it doesn't work, you can just forget about it. So
forget about it.
Right. Staggervore 499 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, I'm sure you already heard about the merger talks between WB and Paramount. Do you think anything will come of it? I don't. I think it came out today or maybe yesterday that they declined something. That something was not. I don't remember what it was. No.
Wasn't that from one of those clickbait accounts?
I don't remember. I don't remember where it came from.
Sure. I saw something on Twitter and it was it was like, oh fuck, the icon's got like some like neon popcorn bucket or something, and it's like funnily enough, considering what we're about to talk about, it's like a Snyder shill or something, and they were trying to like, yeah,
right.
That's where I saw it. People were retweeting it and stuff like that. And like, what do you call it? Quoting it.
Yeah, I don't know if
anywhere else.
I think WB Discovery and Paramount merging might be something that they wouldn't allow. That feels like a little bit too, like, I think they'd have to sell off pieces of it. What if they were going to do something like that? What would most likely happen is WB would sell off assets and Discovery would probably go somewhere and Warner Brothers would have to go somewhere else, and maybe DC would have to go somewhere else. Like, I feel like they'd have to split things up because it's getting to the point where there's just like, they don't want like one company owning every IP,
especially when it's something like Paramount, which has been around for ages.
Yeah,
like you can't. I mean, when was Paramount? Was that? I mean, I know they existed in the 40s. Let's see. Or at least like the company that became Paramount was around in the 40s.
Actually, 1912. So over.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. Well, I mean, Warner
1920s.
Brothers, it turned 100 this year, so it's older than Warner Brothers by 10 years. So, I don't know. Like, I think like Paramount has some things there. Like, I don't know why Warner Brothers would. There is some IP there, but it's also like not ridiculous level IP.
I think
like
if we
Nickelodeon and stuff like that. And
I think if we see someone buy Warner Brothers Discovery, it has to be a company that isn't already in the business. Like, it would have to be a company that does something else that isn't. Like, you know how when like I'm trying to think of a good example of this. Who was it that owned Warner Brothers for a while? That was like a phone company. Wasn't it a phone company that owned them?
AT&T.
AT&T. So they owned Warner Brothers for a while because that was two businesses that didn't overlap with each other. And getting Discovery to buy Warner Brothers was kind of tricky because they are.
Well, also that was a bit different, like because when AOL bought Warner Brothers, that was because the internet age was coming in, and then when AT&T took over, that was because the streaming thing was coming in. They were trying to develop streaming stuff and more like things like that.
Yeah. But here's the deal. This would be bad for consumers anyway, because they would do the same thing that Discovery did to Warner Brothers. They would come in and start canceling projects because they need to make a lot of money back. I would
be surprised if this is allowed to happen.
I don't think it would happen either. Because in a hypothetical world, that's what they would do. They would come in.
Because apparently it's being put out there. Like what's it called? Was it the FTC, like the Fair Trade Commission, whatever it's called?
Yeah, that's right.
There was like that thing that came out, like it might have been like a year after the Disney Fox thing, where they said they sort of regretted green lighting it because as soon as Disney took over, what did they do? They got like rid of all the art house projects that they were
exactly. That would like what we saw with Discovery and Warner Brothers would when what they did. It would happen again if
there's like 4 movies or something they released in that Searchlight Pictures, sometimes even less.
Yeah.
When before there'd be like heaps and some would go straight to DVD maybe, or there'd be a streaming thing, but now there's hardly any.
Yeah. All right, we're going to do one more comment here, and then we're going to start talking about Rebel Moon. So this is from Laura here. It says, I'm curious of your opinions on Jonathan Majors being fired from Disney. I don't have much of a personal opinion about it. Like I don't feel any, like I don't have any sway, I guess, in terms of this. Swag, yeah. But if you want to know my opinion on what they did, I think it was pretty obvious they were waiting and had a contingency plan in place, ready to go once he was found guilty. Even though he wasn't found guilty on everything, I'll be honest, all it would take is one thing. Any of those things. If any, I think it was like 4, maybe it was 5. Was it 4 charges, 5 charges? Whatever it was, if he would have been found guilty on just one of those, this would have been the same outcome. It would have been the same thing.
Well, I know that you sent me a DM when it happened and you went, lol, Jonathan took major L. That was the interesting DM that you sent me that time.
Right.
But also, I saw people say, oh, Disney was waiting to fire him. I reckon behind closed doors, he was gone months ago. Yeah. Months and months and months ago. Hence why they weren't putting him in advertising and everything like that, because but the thing is that with him committing not only a civil crime, but a criminal.
Yeah.
He's found guilty of a criminal thing.
That's another thing people have to understand. This wasn't a civil conviction. This was a criminal conviction.
I keep seeing people saying he's just going to pay a fine. There is no fine. It's either you go to jail or you don't go to jail.
Right. Now they could
probation
easily
or
work
jail.
out a deal. Right. They could probate like jail and have them do community service or something like that. But that is entirely up to the Senate
judge.
Yeah.
But like Disney would have like, especially when all that other stuff started to come out, which wasn't going through the thing, they would have known. I thought it was I think we talked about it when it first happened, when his team just bailed from him. Mm-hmm. That never happens. Even when someone like Kevin Spacey, that didn't happen.
Right.
And there was so much stuff. I know he went to thing and he was found like not guilty, but everyone knows he did what he did.
He was guilty of something. He was guilty of something. Like even when we talked about it on Twitch back when all that other stuff came out, I'm like, there has to be something there because the city was moving forward with their charges.
And I think people still don't understand that about the case. I think that's a lot of people still don't understand. It wasn't the woman versing him; it was the city of New York. They took him to court. So we were talking about, it's like, even though it didn't look like there was much there because you get limited stuff, even all the evidence in court, like maybe like 10% of it would have been released publicly. We were like, there must be something there because they don't want to take an L. They would only take them if they know they're going to win.
Yeah.
or the other, but at least that they know the person's guilty. So it was odd, the whole situation. But
Lone Wolf, I'll do a stream the night of the last episode and talk about the whole season. So that's what I'll probably end up doing.
Penis, yeah.
As far as recasting Kang, I don't know if they even. I feel okay. So this is my prediction. They took the writer of Secret War, right? The singular Secret Wars movie, and they made him the writer of the Kang Dynasty movie. I think the intention was always to turn Kang Dynasty into like Secret War Part 1 and then have the other one as Secret Wars Part 2.
Well, isn't the rumor that like one of them has one cast, which is like, I guess, like the current Avengers, and then the proper Secret Wars thing is like, for the most part of it, is like a multiverse team, and then it all connects in like, I guess, like the final third or something. Like they're meant to be.
I mean, that's like, what I've heard. We don't know for sure, but that's
what it seems like. Because that's what, there's so many characters they're going to involve and everything like that. Yeah. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how it works. But
Denzel
also, like,
Washington is Kang. I mean, like, no.
If they do Kang, they're just going to get an unknown guy. Well, not an unknown, but they're not going to get anyone big, because also a person that's big doesn't need the role. Like, they don't need this.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the names I keep saying Will Smith. I'm like, God. Like, they're not going to put Will Smith.
I have a feeling, if you've seen Loki season 2 and you know that Loki becomes like the god of the multiverse or whatever, Kang's threat level can be reduced to nothing. Like, they could make it so that Loki just doesn't allow Kang to do what he wants him to do. Like, they could easily come up with a way to figure that out, right? On top of that, I believe that when the Fantastic Four come out and when the X-Men come out, like with this Deadpool movie or whatever, that people are going to stop giving a shit about all of the Avengers characters. And I truly mean that. Like, I think the Avengers, like the transition period we had in Phase 4, the young Avengers, we're going to have those characters or whatever. But I think this romanticism about like Iron Man and Captain America, yeah, people are still going to love them. But if they nail Fantastic Four, if they nail the X-Men, we will not see people really talking about that anymore. Honestly, because if they introduce the X-Men, they have another decade plus of movies to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can literally do individual movies of like characters from the X-Men. So,
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. Oh, I got a super chat here for you. Sabarus here with the $2 super chat says, "Did Paige you watch Smallville when it aired?" I didn't. I watched it after the first few seasons, but
yeah, I watched it. Well, I didn't watch the first few seasons because it was always released weirdly on Australian TV. But I know I watched the final 3 as it aired, like weekly. Not like as it aired live, but weekly.
Smallville is like 3Dub is the biggest Smallville fan. I'm surprised he didn't say something when that comment popped up. Avengers versus X-Men would be cool. I think we need to just focus on this is what has happened with the Marvel Cinematic Universe is, no offense to you, Jordan, because it would be cool. I agree with you. But I think we need to just establish the X-Men, like properly set it up. Because one of the biggest issues I think people have had with the past 2 phases is either not enough setup or over setting things up. Like Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, if it would have not been Quantumania and it would have just been another heist movie, I think the movie probably would have performed better, personally. I think Quantumania should have been a separate movie by itself with multiple heroes, like a Civil War type movie, like a mini Avengers movie, with multiple heroes going after Kang. I think smashing Kang into Ant-Man and the Wasp 3 was a big mistake by Marvel, because the movie isn't necessarily awful, but I think it could have been so much better, personally. Lone Wolf with the $2 super chat, is Deadpool your most hyped comic book movie next year? I think it is the most hyped comic book.
We talked about it. It's Madam Web. It's Madam Web for Eric.
I'm going to say this, Deadpool, if there's any movie next year that has a chance at making $1 billion, if it's good, I think Deadpool is in a perfect position to make that money because it's got Hugh Jackman Wolverine in it. It's probably going to have Fox X-Men in it. I think it's going to do really well.
Some would say Joker 2.
I don't think Joker 2 is going to do $1 billion though.
It depends. The first one, it just depends on the circumstance. Like none of the Deadpool movies made $1 billion. So, and I know it's got the MCU title, and it was also R-rated the first. Because I keep hearing this thing like it's still going to be R-rated. If this one's R-rated, I'll dance on stream naked. I would be shocked if they released it.
If it's R-rated, I don't think it has a chance to make $1 billion, unfortunately, because of
the thing that they could do is they could chuck a Snyder cut and there's an R-rated DVD or Blu-ray version.
Maybe.
That. Then again, Disney's looking to stop making physical media, so probably that wouldn't happen. But So that in regards to like the earliest movie that can make $1 billion, yes, because Joker's not to the end of the year, and I don't think Joker would make $1 billion. I think the first one, because the first one just creeped over it as well. From I think like one.
The other thing is that this Joker movie is a musical, and musicals are hard sells to comic book audiences. They just are.
Well,
they just are.
Apparently, it's not. It's like half. Like a musical to me is where they break into song and dance like more often than not.
We'll see. I think. Look, I think if we're putting those two movies up to against each other, I think if Deadpool nails it, if it's a good movie, and this is what it hinges on. It has to be a good movie with good word of mouth, like Guardians of the Galaxy 3. If that's the case, I think the Deadpool movie could, if not get to $1 billion, get close to $1 billion. I think it absolutely could.
It's probably that Multiverse of Madness, the one where it's gonna, but it might do the opposite, and it might just go over, rather than just go under like Multiverse of Madness.
But I just don't see Joker 2 being $1 billion movie. I just don't. Batman 2 is not next year. No, it's not. Next year is going to be a dead year for comic book movies. There's only a few of them coming out. Most of the big studio, like I think Joker 2 is the big like WB film. And
the thing is, if it's R-rated, then it's not making $1 billion.
No, it will. I don't think it'll make $1 billion if it's rated R.
The only thing that might help it in regards to getting $1 billion is that everyone that the fan service in this movie is, servicing is over 18. Like no one that's 15, I think, is obsessed or really cares too much about Hugh Jackman's Wolverine because they didn't grow up watching him unless they went back and watched all the movies. Like he's in my thing. Like when the first one came out when I was like 7 or something.
He's not even my favorite Wolverine, but I think a lot of people do like him. Like in like their late 20s, early 30s, that age group really likes Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. I think. Let's see here. All right, so the first Deadpool movie made on a $58 million budget, made almost $800 million. The first one, and it was R-rated, right? Yeah. Let's see.
But that's sort of what I'm saying, Kai. But the thing with that is that the first Joker had that like water cooler vibe. Like if you didn't see it, like what the fuck were you doing?
I also don't think that Joker movie was advertised to a conventional comic book audience. I think that movie was intended
but that's why it hit him $1 billion was sort of surprising at the same time because it wasn't marketed as this like massive movie. It was almost like this, it's a character study sort of thing.
But I was gonna say, you're absolutely right. Like I actually think that word of mouth on that movie not being a conventional superhero movie was what made it $1 billion. That's my opinion.
And then all the hype where it was like, wow, Joaquin Phoenix is going to win the Oscar for this, and everyone's like, oh my god. Like I still remember
the second Deadpool movie almost made exactly the same as the first one, money wise.
But the second one wasn't as good. So if it maybe feels better than the first one, then it would have made more.
I think the third one's going to do good, not to mention it's the only MCU movie next year.
So, well, that's the thing that a lot of people are saying as well, is that because it's not really an MCU movie, but it's just a Disney Marvel movie. But it's going to...
I think they're going to spend a lot of money marketing that movie. I think that movie's going to get a lot of promotion.
Oh, heaps. Well, the thing is that they're getting free promotion with all the like set photos.
Yeah.
And I know they were complaining, but I think not complaining, but I think they're like, oh, don't share it. I think that's them saying, well, it's already out there, so share it.
Well, no, but they were sharing the stupid like the AI ones with like stupid like
Donald Trump's in the background and stuff like that.
Yeah, there was one with Darth Vader and something else. It was really just kind of dumb. So that was pretty stupid. All right, we're gonna talk about Rebel Moon now. Let me share the screen while we talk about it. Everybody's favorite website, Spoiled Tomatoes. Anyway. We're going to talk spoilers. The movie's been out long enough now. It's on Netflix. If you wanted to watch it, you probably already watched it at this point. So here we go. This one's got an even lower score than Aquaman. Both audience and critical score. My God, this movie was really hard to get through, to be completely honest. I have so many issues with this film. I don't even know where to begin, honestly. I don't know where to begin. I feel like this movie was made for a very specific portion of Snyder's audience.
I think it's the one that, like, you know, like transfigured into like rocks and just couldn't move.
So we were watching it and everybody said this feels like someone that was a fan of Zack Snyder and then made this to take the piss out of Zack Snyder. Like, it felt like a parody of what Zack Snyder does, because literally this movie is 50% slow motion. There is so much unnecessary slow motion shots in this movie. Every single fight scene, every single gunshot, every single jump, every single swing, people dropping seeds on the floor, moving a chair, turning their head, running up the stairs, everything is fucking slow motion. And I don't know if Zack Snyder has always put that much in his movies, and I've never noticed it, but it was very noticeable in this film.
I wonder what the runtime is if you take out the slow motion, because it's like, what, just over 2 hours?
I think it's like 2 hours and 15 minutes or something.
Like, yeah, 2 hours and some change. Yeah, so I don't know. I always wondered. I thought that about the Snyder cut as well, because there's a lot of slow motion in that. I'm like, what if you took out the slow motion, just sped it up to normal speed? Like, what's the length of this movie?
Oh my God, Cody. Yeah, I'm gonna highlight that comment. We're gonna talk about that in a second.
But I think I sent it to you because I watched it before you. I don't know how the fuck that happened, but I think the day it came out, there was nothing on. It was like nothing on. I thought I saw it. That I opened up Netflix. I didn't realize it had come out. I thought it came out the next day, just because that's, you know, I just thought that was the case.
Yeah. And
I went, because I said I wasn't gonna watch it, but I was in like a good mood. I was in like not like a pessimistic mood. I didn't see it and go, oh.
And you were like, well, I'm going to throw a bone his way and go ahead.
And also, I saw it was only just over 2 hours. I thought for some reason, because Snyder just extends shit for the sake of it, I thought it was going to be like 3 hours or something. But I thought, oh, it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes or something. I'll put it on. And it's like nothing against Snyder, but fuck, it's so boring. It's just, the script feels like its first draft. I don't know who wrote it. I think Snyder co-wrote at least the story. I don't know if he did the.
I think it was 3 people. I think it was him and like 2 other people.
I'm assuming he made the story because he's talked about how he's been thinking about it for years and years. So I'm assuming he at least co-wrote the story. I don't know about the screenplay. So, you know, maybe blame the person who wrote the screenplay for the boring stuff. But man, it's just so boring. It's dull. None of the characters are likable outside of maybe Charlie Hunnam's character. He's the only one where I was like, it feels like he's actually trying to make a character.
Yeah.
While everyone here is just talking.
I mean, the reality is that this movie, you can tell 100%, at least in my opinion, that this was supposed to be a Star Wars movie and they just had to make changes so they could.
It's not even that. Like, I saw, like, I think, was it last stream or something?
What?
And like the reviews that come, maybe it's just me and you talking or something like that. It was on Twitter, and a lot of people were saying like it's really derivative. I'm like, it can't be that derivative. Like, because how could it get made? Like, surely someone would have stepped in if it was just straight up.
I feel like it is very much lifted from Star Wars. Like,
I think it's not even that. I think it's like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. I think it's like.
It's funny you mentioned Harry Potter. We're talking about that scene in a second because that was one of the scenes that really bugged
It's derivative of so much stuff.
It's what you call it? Like, what was that movie? Something of Mars. It was like a Disney movie.
Oh, the John Carter movie.
Yeah, because there's like that scene with the Griffin felt like it was from that movie, and then it also felt like it was Harry Potter at the same time. It like, all right. So let's start out with a lot of the bad. And that is the fucking green screen visual effects in this movie. I've never seen a worse looking Zack Snyder movie than this one.
To be honest, I didn't notice it that much outside of the opening scene. The opening scene like slapped you on the face and went, "Look at this shit."
Yeah, it was because the world in the background that this moon is supposed to be surrounding. It wasn't lit. It looked like a painting. It looked like a painting on a wall.
It wasn't even. It looked. Not even a painting. It looked like like a piece of fabric or something like that. It looked really weird, and I guess it's that was a choice, but that caught me out of it straight away. But I didn't notice it that much until they did. Was it the flashback of the Cora character, whatever her name is?
Cora. Yeah.
They did the flashback with her, and there was one shot where it just looked awful. It looked like it looked weird, but I didn't notice it too much.
Was it the part where she was holding the flag? Is that the part where it looked weird to you?
It was just, yeah. I think it was just that whole scene. And there's like a couple different shots in the flashback and stuff. I was like, well, that doesn't look very good in the background. But they probably used like a very similar style what they did with that opening shot when she's like farming. Yeah. But yeah, like even like I don't know. I know you only mentioned Star Wars, but I got Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Harry Potter. What was the other one?
A bunch of westerns. It basically was.
Well, the thing is, it's Seven Samurai, but set in space.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing is that the physical so I would say this movie is like what 80 to 90% green screen. It feels like there's so much green screen in this fucking movie, and
which is weird because they kept talking about how it had locations. Like they went to locations to shoot it, and like they made a big deal of that. Where the fuck? The location, the green screen, like the studio with the green screen.
We see 3 different planets, right? All of them are desert worlds with like Western buildings. So the only planets that aren't Western buildings are space planets where we only see them stand on one, like literally they're on a soundstage and they don't move outside of that box.
So I'm assuming they filmed in like Texas or New Mexico and went to one of those ranches where they have the old Western cities and stuff like that. And then just did the rest in the studio.
I don't know, but like one of the things that I've always praised Zack Snyder on are his visuals. I've always been like his visuals are really good. Like his movies, like Sucker Punch. I hate that storyline. I don't like that movie. But if you turn like the volume down and just watch the fight scenes, it looks beautiful, and that's the way a lot of his movies are. But
I don't know if it says it on Rotten Tomatoes, but can you scroll down? Was he the cinematographer like he was with Army of the Dead?
Let's see.
I don't know if it says it here or if you have to go to the Wikipedia. Director. No, it doesn't say. Oh wait. Oh no, it doesn't say. I thought it might have said down the bottom there.
I'll open up another window and look for it.
Yeah.
But
if anyone in the chat knows, was he cinematographer? Because I didn't look at the credits and stuff like that. Or at least I can't remember if there was anyone written. Because I remember talking to you.
He did the summer by himself.
Okay,
he's the only one. So that means that all of the other beautiful movies that he's made with the cinematography and like the sweeping shots and stuff like that, that was assisted by someone else. Because
he's the 2 movies he's been cinematographer, Army of the Dead and this one, it looked like ass.
There are no establishing shots of any of the planets. This is one of the things that I really hate. At the beginning of the movie, we see this space vagina with the.
I saw that. I was like, "What is that? What kind of wormhole or opening is that?" I was like, "That's
the people that we watched it with, because we all watched it as like a holiday thing or whatever. The people they watched it with today, when they saw that, they're like, twice. Yeah, I've watched it twice. So
God.
The people that we watched with it today, when that scene came on, these are people that don't read anything on the internet. They're not part of like the fandom or whatever. They saw that scene and they said, "Is that a space vagina?" They literally said that when they saw that scene. They said, "There's a penis ship coming through a space vagina," and I'm like, and I don't think we ever see that effect anywhere else in the movie. I think it's only in that very opening scene.
Yeah, I don't know, but
there's no establishing shots of the planets. That's one of the things I love about Star Wars and Star Trek is a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times, you will get some sort of shot establishing what the world looks like. So you take it from that, and then you pare it down to like, okay, the world looks like a desert world. Now we're in a desert setting, or the world looks like it's a technological world. Now we're in a technological setting. We don't get that with these things. And then there's title cards that come up that tell you sometimes where they are, and sometimes it doesn't say it. Like if you're not going to do it every time, don't do it at all. That doesn't. Why?
Why? Oh, why?
Okay, let's talk about some individual character stuff. So Cora is the main character. who is literally a mixture of Rey and Finn from Star Wars. She's an ex stormtrooper for the Mother World, who is also now a farmer scavenging to make ends meet on this world. So she's a mixture of Rey and Finn, and she's got a mysterious past when we first meet her, which is also like Rey. So that's who her character is. And the only thing we get from her is I guess a montage of scenes with like exposition for her backstory, which was a more interesting movie than this movie. Like that backstory, I'm like, why is this not the movie we're watching? Where she starts out as a kid, she gets captured, she has to serve as like this overseer for this daughter of the royal family, and then she basically escapes and gets out and comes to this world. That would have been a more interesting movie than what we actually got in Rebel Moon, to me personally.
Yeah.
She doesn't have much character development throughout the movie. I don't think she's unlikable, but I've seen people say that she's not a very convincing actor in this role. I don't know if that's
I don't know necessarily like unlikable or likable and stuff, but I don't think she's a very good lead character.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I've only seen Sophia Boutella in a handful of things, and she's always been like the co-star. So maybe she just wasn't the right choice to lead it, or just it wasn't the right role for her to be the leader and stuff like that.
I would highly recommend this. If you have Apple TV, go watch season 1 and 2 of Foundation. It is so much better in every way. Not only visually, but storyline wise, character wise, acting wise. It is so much better than like 98% of science fiction that's out right now. Foundation is almost every episode is at least a 9 out of 10. So yeah, 100% watch that. Like the first season will hook you. The first episode will hook you. What's up, Defunct? How are you doing?
Hook you like fish.
Okay, so let's talk about what they do in the movie. So by the way, we get like grape. I'm gonna say grape. I'm gonna put a G on it. We get grape within the first 20 minutes of the movie.
What was the grape?
We get it within the first 20 minutes of the movie, and then we get an allegory for it like 15 minutes later. And then we get more of that like later on in the film. Like, what is his obsession with this stuff? Like, why is that his only power fantasy?
The one thing I don't
understand
is I saw where was it? Might have been Twitter. It just might have been a quote, like on one of those like news recycle things, like discussing film or whatever it was. I don't think it was discussing film though. It was like one of the other ones. And they said that like Snyder said there's more blood, gore, and sex in the R-rated cut.
I'm
which
sure.
I don't know how long it is.
I'll be honest. That scene when it happened at the beginning, when the stormtroopers arrived or whatever, we could do a whole video on the dialogue in that scene because it when they're first getting all the stuff together and everything. But that scene where they have the water girl and they're taking her into the barn to sort of like have their way with her or whatever, almost everybody wanted to cut the movie off at that point because they're like, this is just unnecessary. It doesn't make any sense. And like, you don't.
It's also like very. It's also like very like basic storytelling, like and then the main character comes in and saves the day. And it's like you don't need to do that. Like that's like it's almost like I know there's a whole thing where like Zack Snyder is seen as like a college frat dude with a video camera. That scene sort of backs that claim up.
Well, the thing is that one of the people that was watching with us loved Zack Snyder's first zombie movie. I don't remember what the name of it was, but the very first one.
I'm in that exact same thing. I think Dawn of the Dead is by far his best
Dawn of the
movie.
Dead. So when they came to see this, they haven't seen any of the DC stuff by Zack Snyder. So they're just like a Zack Snyder fan that didn't watch the DC stuff. So they were over here today. We did all our gift giving and stuff like that. And then when we sat down to watch it, they're like, "Oh, I love Zack Snyder. That zombie movie, Dawn of the Dead, I really loved it." They were like, I didn't really like the other one, the Army of the Dead movie, but he's like, I like the prequel to that one, but not that movie. Which I don't know how you feel about that or whatever.
It was asked.
But they were excited about this one because they're like, oh, it's like a adult version of Star Wars. I'm totally on board with it. But when that scene came on with all of the grape stuff being talked about, they were like, this is going on for too long. Like the point could have been made very quickly. But it's like he dragged the scene out for 10 minutes. It didn't need to be that long. And they almost were ready to turn it off. They're like, I don't want to watch this anymore if this is what this movie is going to be. And I was like, well, let's get through this and just see where it goes, because I'm hoping that the whole movie isn't that. But to me, that power fantasy is so basic. It's such a basic thing. Like, there's a million other things that directors have done over the years to establish, like, we're the bad guys, we're awful people, without going directly to, like, graping someone. You know what I mean? Like, doing that is the easiest and laziest way to establish that people are pieces of shit, because it does not add anything else to the characters. And by the way, we're talking about a bunch of stormtroopers who just earlier had a scene where one of the guys, I think his name was Malcolm. I can't remember if it was Malcolm or Martin or something. I don't remember. But he decides randomly to start shooting at the people who are pulling the boxes into their little, the farmhouse or whatever it is, because there's a droid there that apparently decided that once they became sentient and worked for the Empire, or the Mother World, as they call it, didn't want to fight or didn't want to be violent anymore. So he decided the smart thing to do was to shoot his gun towards everyone who's like on his team to prove that the robot won't fight back. I'm like, what's the point of this? And then we get the grape scene right after that. And they allude to the graping in that scene with the water girl. They do it there. And then later on, we have an alien that basically essays one of the other characters, the farmer guy, because he's like this, I guess, a gay alien, and he's like trying to talk this guy into like having sex with him, and then when the guy kind of turns him down, he just grabs him anyway. I'm like, what are we doing in this movie? What is this? What? And does any of this matter? Does any of it matter? And the answer to that is no. None of it matters at all. It doesn't play into any character development whatsoever. It is simply there to establish that a person is bad. So stormtrooper's bad, they grape. Guy at the bar bad, he wants to essay someone. That's literally the establishment of these characters.
Yep.
Also, the villain, Admiral Atticus or whatever, so fucking boring as a villain. Every scene, and if you have not watched this movie yet, if you haven't watched it, right? Every scene is him delivering some sort of a monologue and then killing someone. That's every scene that he's in. Every single one of them is him delivering a monologue and either killing someone or trying to kill someone. And we have no idea why he's doing what he's doing, why he's so devoted to the Mother World, why he has such a vendetta against people, why he's coming after the people at the moon when this... By the way, the moon that the people are on, there's maybe what would you say, like 100 people, maybe 150 people that live in the settlement?
It's like a little Lord of the Rings village.
But they act like they're supplying so much grain to the entire fucking universe in this one little world. If it's that important, why are they fucking broke? Why are they living in huts?
Wasn't Cora the only one doing any field work? Any farm work?
Everybody else was in the farmhouse, the longhouse. They said it like 20 times. The longhouse, having ale and eating fucking pigs or whatever, while she's out working in the field.
It has to have sex, otherwise the grain won't grow.
And the other thing is true. That's right. We'll talk about that. Hold on. Hang a hat on that one. But she's out there working in the field, working her ass off, and they still treat her like an outsider. And she gives us more of a shit about the grain than they do. And by the way, there's so much slow motion shots of grain and seeds and stuff falling on the ground. Like, why? What's the reason? What's the point? It's so indulgent. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, you're talking when they get into the grain house, because graping and essay, all of that is so adult, right? So they get into the longhouse. He's like, well, we have to plant the seeds. Plant the seeds, you guys. We're talking about sex here. Planting the seed. And then they joke about everyone having sex that night for like the next two scenes. And then the guy that Cora is living with is trying to push her into being in a relationship with somebody else, because that would establish her as an important part of the community if she just went ahead and settled down with somebody. It's so fucking stupid to me that... And then the people in the village are dumb as fuck too. Every single one of them, except for the main guy. I'm knocking over Barry Allen. Every single one of them, except for like the main guy, believes that the way to make the Empire leave them alone is to work harder. Every single one of them. That is what they believe. Like, if we work harder, they'll just leave us alone. Why? What's the incentive for that? Because you know how to do again, if this were a world where the entire world was doing farming for the whole solar system, maybe. But we're talking about a settlement of like 150 people if you're being generous. And the whole movie, and this is not a lie, the whole movie, I guess this and part 2, is going to hinge on Korra collecting samurais to help her defend this small little farming village against the Empire. That's what this whole movie is. And the second one, I'm guessing, from what we've seen in the trailers. So that's the basis of the film, is she's trying to save them from the Empire coming in and destroying this village, which, by the way, again, like 150 people if you're being generous. So then we have to go around and collect people. And the first thing she says to this other farmer, I can't remember his fucking name. What is the guy's name?
The other main guy that comes with her.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what his name is.
It's like
Gunner.
That's it, yeah.
Okay. So Gunner, this other farmer, goes with her, and they're supposed to go to Pollux, is the name of the world. They make it sound like it's a big deal. Oh, we got to go to Pollux because there's this person there that I have to meet or whatever. But first they have to find a way to get there because they're a farming village. They don't have ships. They don't have anything like that. But somebody knows the guy. I think it was Gunner that knew this guy that was like a trade guy, a mercenary, something or whatever. Knows the guy, and they want to go to this little town that looks like a Western town. It looks like a set from Vancouver, to be honest. Maybe it was. Maybe it was filmed in Vancouver. I don't know.
It's like where Bebo appeared that time.
But
Big Bebo.
They go to this little like Western area or whatever. And that's where we meet what is his character's name? Charlie
Charlie Hunnam character.
Right. So this is the scene where we get like a fight between the SA alien that wants to have gay sex with Gunner, and we have this weird alien that's tentacles wrap around people and talks through them. They introduce a lot of cool stuff that does not mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. We never learn. That's one of the biggest atrocities about this movie. We don't learn anything about any of these characters, and they don't have enough charisma to make up for it, except for Charlie Hunnam's character.
Yeah.
The only person who does. So we go in there, we get this fight scene. By the way, somebody brought this up. I think I had it right here. Kai, surprisingly, Kai Rex. I've not seen the movie, but I've heard some of the most awful fight scenes ever. It is. They are poorly executed. There's only one fight scene in the movie that I think is somewhat well done, and that is the battle with the Spider-Woman. And even that one has issues. I
think that's arguably the best scene in the movie.
Yeah,
is the spider fight.
Yeah, but the slow motion shots and these hard cuts. So one of the things that I hate with a hard cut is you can tell when the stunt choreography and the fight choreography is being like basically pasted together in editing because they don't have the stuff they need. So it feels like they're just kind of taking what they have and making it sort of work. And it's very obvious in this movie that a lot of these scenes, the fight choreography, for whatever reason, was chopped up and thrown together in quick cuts. And it's really annoying to watch, to be honest. So we get that scene, and then we have Gunner, who's like teams up with them to go to the next world. And I think it's Kai takes him. Yeah, Kai takes him to which world do we go to first?
By the way, are we gonna ignore the elephant in the room with that scene?
Which one? What part of it?
It's just the cantina scene from A New Hope.
Yeah, it was.
And they, instead of picking up Han Solo, they pick up Kai, and he has a ship, Millennium Falcon, and they fly away to another.
Absolutely. So do they go? Which world do they go to first? Do they go to Neo Tokyo or do they go to John Carter World? Which one do they go to first? Do you remember?
John Carter World, because they get whatever his name was from Supergirl.
Yeah, what is his name in Supergirl? Hold on. Stas Nar plays Tarek or whatever. Yeah, who played William.
What was his William? That's it. William from Supergirl.
Okay. So they go to this world, and again, it's just it's like they literally go from desert world, like that's where they do here. So anyway, they go to this world. It's like a desert world, and this guy Tarek is chained up at some dude's house to work off, I guess, something he owed this guy. I don't really understand.
It was royalty, and he got captured.
Yeah. So he's there. There's like 3 or 4 like ranch hands there with him, and he's locked up or whatever, and he's just in there working, shirtless, long hair, like it's John Carter basically. And so outside of that, you see this totally out of place looking griffin, which looks like it belongs in another world completely. It does not fit in to this world at all. The face of it gives me like Disney animation. It just doesn't fit in for some reason with this world. But they're like, oh, we need this guy. Can we talk to him? And the dude's like, the guy that owns him or has locked him up or whatever you want to call it. He's like, yeah, you can go talk to him, right? So they go and talk to him, and they're like, so we need him to come with us. And the guy makes the dumbest deal ever because there's nothing in this deal that makes any sense. So he tells them that if Tarek can tame the griffin and ride it, he's free to go. Please explain to me how that benefits this guy at all, because we don't know anything about him. Why does he need this griffin to be tamed? We have no idea. We don't know if it's for transportation. We don't know what the reason is. That's what he wants. And then he goes, if he can't tame him, then I'm going to lock all you guys in shackles. And keep in mind, this is like 4. It's like 3 or 4. No, it's 4 of them now, right? 3 of them. There's 3 of them there. There's absolutely no reason for Cora or any of these other characters to even bother with this dude, right? So he's a bad person anyway. Like the guy that has Tarek locked up, they could have just shot the chain and left, and there's nothing that guy could have done to them.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the point of this bargaining was. I don't understand what the point of the bargaining was. And let's get to the Griffin thing. So yes, he has this great moment. This is one of my favorite parts of the movie. He has a great moment where he's talking to this Bennu. I guess it's called a Bennu. He's talking to it, and there's this connection, and you're like, oh, this is really cool. So this guy, Tarek, he can talk to these griffins. This is going to be like, he's going to ride on this griffin. It's going to be a big part of his character. We're going to see it fighting with him in the movie or whatever. So he starts flying around in it, and we get a weird thing where he gets thrown off of the griffin, and then he runs and jumps on the griffin in this like 5-minute slow motion shot or whatever, which again, not great. And you're like, yes, okay, he's tamed the griffin. They're friends now, right? This thing's obviously intelligent. So when they go to leave, because he actually did what he said he was going to do, so he's leaving with the team to leave, he doesn't take the griffin with him. So all of that stuff that made him an interesting character, because keep in mind, we've learned nothing else about this guy. Nothing. All of that character development, his connection with the griffin, all of that, he leaves the griffin there on this planet, who ends up killing the guy that they made the deal with, which is something that this team could have done from the beginning. But he ends up killing this guy, and Tarek is like, good girl or good boy or whatever, something like that. And then they get on the ship, and they leave the griffin there. So what the fuck was the point of that scene? What was the point of that? Every bit of character development we had from him was completely attached to that griffin, and then we just leave, and he becomes boring dude with the shirt off.
Does he ever put a shirt on, by the way, in the rest of the movie?
No, he doesn't have a shirt on at all for the rest of the film. He's shirtless. All right, so then we go to Neo Tokyo for probably the best scene in the whole movie, because it actually feels like they're doing something in space. And the character there is, what is her name? I want to say it's like Nemesis or something, right? Isn't it like a weird, what was the character's name? Nemesis. It was Nemesis. So we have this like Jedi type character who has like the budget lightsabers that we see in the trailer. And this is how the scene works, right? We get on the ship at this one world, and then we see them on another world. So there's only like 1 or 2 times in the whole movie where these characters get time to actually talk to each other that's on the ship between planets. That should be a very useful bit of time for them to create a narrative for each individual character. We'd get to know them if we had more time with them outside of these like character collector scenes. So when we go from John Carter world to Neo Tokyo, which is what I'm assuming they were going for, to meet Nemesis, we still don't know anything about these other characters. We don't know anything about Gunner, except for the little bit of conversation he has with Thor, which I think happens after this scene. So we don't know anything about Gunner. John Carter's character development, Tarek, was lost when he left the Griffin because that was the only thing we knew about him. And the other guy, Gunner, who was the guy from the farm or whatever, we know quite a bit about him. I would actually say now thinking back, he's probably the most well-written character in the whole movie because he actually has stories and motivations in the first act that actually carry through all the way to the end of the film. And all of it happens in real time. We know why he's doing what he's doing. He's a farmer that worked with the village who believe that they should be selling their grain to whoever the best paying customer is. And that's why he makes the decisions he makes. And then he regrets those decisions. And so he spends the rest of the movie trying to make up for it by following with Korra and putting himself out there. That is the most story we get through the entire movie from any character. Would you agree with that? I think that's the most clear-cut story. I don't think anybody else has a clear-cut story.
Well, yeah, especially at least in regards to playing out throughout the movie and not just being like having ham-fisted flashbacks and it's like here's a lot of exposition.
Yeah, because everything we know about Korra is her talking over montages. We don't learn anything about her in real time. All of the real-time stuff with Korra happens in the first act, and then after that, it's all action and backstory. We don't learn anything else about her in real time. There's nothing, and I mean that. We don't learn anything about her after that first act. That's happening in present day. So anyway, we have this spider lady, this Nemesis lady, who is fighting the spider lady, who apparently, keep in mind, all of this stuff that we're saying in terms of like apparently or obviously or whatever is because Zack Snyder does nothing to explain any of this. None of it's explained. So on this one world, they're following this Nemesis lady, having no idea where they're going. They walk into a room with webs all over the walls. There's a spider lady who comes down. By the way, really bad visual effects at that point when she first drops down. I'm like, this looks really bad. But they talk to the spider lady. Apparently, she's been taking the kids in that city and killing them, I guess, is what's happening. I guess that's what, because she can't lay eggs. I think that was the story. Like her eggs don't actually mature because of the atmosphere or something. I don't know. It's. I have no real. Either way, she's taking human kids because her spider kids can't grow up on this world. That's all we know. And for that reason, the team sits and watches her, Nemesis, fight the Spider Woman for fear of her life, lets her kill the Spider Woman, and has no problem with any of that. No questions, no nothing. They literally go down, she fights the Spider Lady with her fake lightsabers, and then at the end they're like, okay, hey, you want to join up? That's the whole thing. We don't learn anything else about her at all. I think that's the only storyline we get the only story we have for John Carter and Nemesis are in those scenes. After that, we don't get anything else from them in the movie.
No,
pretty much that's it. So we've collected all these people, and they're like, now we need to go and talk to the leaders of the rebellion, right? Surprise, surprise. Ray Fisher shows up finally as, I think it's Blood Axe. It's Blood Axe, the brother and sister. They're
it's funny as well because he shows up with a tweet.
Yeah. Darian, Blood Axe. Oh wait, no, I'm forgetting General Titus. I forgot. Because that's a very weird scene. So they go to another desert world, but this time it's got like Roman columns and stuff. And General Titus is laying on the ground. This looks like 300 World, basically. Laying on the ground, completely covered in dirt and grime or whatever. They have this weird scene where he's getting bathed by an alien. I think it was an alien. And he's an ex-general for the Mother World. And they're like, oh, you have to join because, this is whatever happened with you is in the past and this is your chance to, like, I guess, fix things or whatever. So he joins too. But again, no story. Those characters, that's it. The only story you get about them is when they're joining up. That's the whole thing. So they go there, they meet Darian which is Ray Fisher and what's her name? Devra. So Darian and Devra Blood Axe. By the way, it's like Dr. Doom with these fucking names. Who are the leaders of the rebellion. I thought it was a little weird that the whole entire fucking rebellion showed up to talk to the grain farmer. Did you see that? Like everybody was there, guns out, full armor, all of that. Which, by the way, I don't know if it's because they're aliens or not, but I would say if you're part of a rebellion and you don't want people to know, maybe you shouldn't paint your face with bright blue paint. I'm hoping that's because that's their species or whatever. But if not, the rebels all have blue paint on their faces. So if you ever needed to know who the rebels were, they've got blue paint.
Yeah,
but
imagine, have red flags above you or something like that. Like, shoot us.
So they show up with all of their guns and everything. They're ready to go. And they're talking to the grain farmer. And here's the deal. This is what makes this feel all so for nothing. So when the Mother World / Empire shows up at Rebel Moon, they want the grain farmers to supply them with grain. And it makes you think that this is an important settlement, that there's nowhere else that the Mother World can get grain from, right? However, when the resistance meets up with the grain farmer, they're like, oh, we have other people supplying us now. So they don't need the grain from these people anymore. Which tells me that there's lots of other suppliers of grain in this universe. So, but then he's like, oh, but we're being threatened. And if you're really rebels and you want to stick it to the Mother World, you need to come help us. So then we get this really awkward, awful speech from Ray Fisher. By the way, some of the worst acting in the entire movie. Where he tries to rally the troops. And it's really unbelievable. Was it unbelievable for you? Like, he was not selling that character to me at all in that moment. I was like, this is not great.
No, it was a bit cringe, as they would say in France.
Yeah. So we get this rallying of the troops. He's like, if you want to join now, and blah, blah, blah. If we don't do this, we're not the rebels we think we are, kind of speech. So he gets a few people to go with them, and then he says goodbye to his sister. And then I think we missed this. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it's totally explained, but they have to stop at some other world to deliver like crates of stuff from Gunner. I think Gunner tells him he has to stop somewhere. Is that the conversation they have? I didn't truly understand why they stopped on this world to drop off boxes. Did they explain that?
I don't know. Was it I don't know. To be honest, it was like boring me. So like Kai tells them.
Yeah, I guess. So here's my only issue with that. Obviously, especially Korra is very familiar with mercenaries and what mercenaries do, because at the beginning of the movie, we see one of their I guess hitmen, one of the guys that has a rumor for them or whatever, gets picked up at that bar, that tavern, and gets taken away by a mercenary bot, which is obviously a standard thing we see with mercenaries, right? How the fuck did they not know that the crates they were carrying were mercenary bots? And think about how much that must have weighed. Like, how are regular people picking up crates that are actually just mercenary bots? How are they doing that? Because as far as we know, none of these people have super strength.
Yeah, except for maybe like, I don't know, maybe some like inbuilt personal strength or something like that.
Yeah, so they're moving these crates that are just mercenary bots. And the fact that they look like the fucking mercenary bots And nobody on this team knew that. I'm like, you have to be fucking kidding me. By the way, this is a big battle scene where the Mother World soldiers with General, what is his name? I can't remember his name. Atticus. What's the guy's name? I think it was Atticus. Why can't I not find it now? Oh, Admiral Atticus, right? He's coming after them. So that's what this whole scene is, right? So they're fighting. This is the scene where I think it's just a green screen soundstage. Nothing on it feels real. It's really poorly lit. You get Ray Fisher running in slow motion with one of the weirdest expressions ever on his face. Somehow space glass breaks very easily. And Ray Fisher's character gets killed by no-name soldier minion number 2 or something, number 3, whatever number you're going to put on it. The leader of the resistance gets killed by a nobody.
Yeah. After getting shot like God knows how many times and then dying conveniently after getting revenge on the nobody.
Yeah.
Like no one cares that this person died.
This was Cody's comment. That's why I saved it. Ray Fisher comes in to get killed. And I know the trailer shows him in the next movie, probably going to be a flashback or something of him and his sister. But we know nothing about this guy. Nothing. There's no emotional connection to this death. Because we met him last. Him and his sister were the last 2 people that we talked with, where we like convinced one of them to come with the team. So this is the character we've had the least amount of time with. It would have made more sense if one of the earlier characters, like if John Carter would have got killed off, or even Gunner, the farmer guy, somebody that we have some sort of an emotional connection with. But we lose the character that we have the least amount of time with.
I mean, to be honest, I don't think I don't know how you can have an emotional connection with any of these characters. They're all surface level, boring.
Generous, you're right.
I know, yeah. Like none of them are acted outside of, as I said before, like Charlie.
Would you say that each character is a cliche of just a trope, like a?
It's just like, you know, yeah, like a cliche trope sort of thing. Like, yeah. I don't know if it's a situation like there's all these talk that like Snyder's very collaborative, and it's like I don't know if the actors got to develop their own characters. Like this is what this character is. This is how they should act, and how they should speak, or whatever it is. But I mean, like it was all. I mean, I think my subtitle, Arse Moon, like that, or Rebel Arse, Rebel Bore, whichever way you want to put it, probably sums up the movie pretty well. Okay. Eric, I have to say this. I know it's subjective. Whether you like a film or your opinion, it's subjective. I really struggle to see how anyone could have enjoyed this movie.
I do too. This is one that I feel I'm on the same page with
certain aspects. I just struggle where anyone could like this movie without like being like, I was gonna say wrist deep, but maybe end of your forearm deep up Snyder's ass. Like I don't know how. I struggle. I'd actually sort of want to hear without someone just going like, because all the things I've seen people like it are just going like, oh, it's badass. The visuals are so mad. The main character is really cool.
Look,
and like,
if the visuals were really good, I wouldn't argue. I'd be like, okay, I get it. It's got good fight scenes, but it doesn't even have that.
All the cool things is derivative of other things, like a lightsaber fight or something like that, or the buckbeak scene. Like,
I think the other thing is that the reason why we give a shit about Star Wars characters earlier on is because we've been in that world for a really long time. The idea of the Seven Samurai storyline has been done pretty well in a few films. You can't make that better. Like you either have to do it as good as or better than. And I just don't think that Zack Snyder is capable of writing a better story than the initial source material of either Star Wars or Seven Samurai or Harry Potter or John Carter or any of those other movies, all the ones he was trying to pull from. So we come into this, the only thing you can think about when you're watching it is you're comparing it to the other stuff that you love. And it's not as good as that stuff. Like a good example is if you look at The Boys or Invincible or any of these other shows that are derivative but different, they have a purpose for why they're doing things. You understand that this character is like Superman, but this is what makes him different from Superman. And this is why you should give a shit about that character. We never have any of those moments with any of the characters in Rebel Moon. Is there a character you particularly care about in that movie? I don't think it's possible.
Not really. I mean, maybe the girl that was about to get raped. It's like,
Yeah.
oh god, that's not good.
Oh, by the way, they also have the Force in the movie because the daughter of the royalty has the ability to like bring things back to life or something. So that's one of the plot lines in the movie, is that she can bring people back to life, and that's something Cora talked about. So it's really is just pulling elements from everything. And it's not doing any of them particularly better than the original material. So I just don't. I know I didn't think Aquaman was great, but Aquaman was a million times better than Rebel Moon. Rebel Moon is probably, I'm going to put this out there, I think it's the worst thing that Zack Snyder's ever done.
Well, I think it's the worst movie I've seen this year.
Okay.
I can't think of anything else. I haven't watched a ridiculous amount of movies, but like I can't think of anything like movie wise. I can't think of anything else that was worse than this.
Yeah. Look, I don't know if I can sit through a director's cut after watching.
This is the thing though, like your initial movie has to be half decent for me to give any sort of two shits about the director's cut. I'm not falling into this trap where people like the Batman v Superman thing. Everyone goes, that extra half an hour makes it a 20 times better movie. It increases your score by 0.5 or something like that. Maybe one score at the most. It does not change the movie that drastically. And from everything that's said around here is like extended and additional scenes. But like, if they're that important, wouldn't you put them in this main thing? Like, wouldn't you increase it by 5 to 10 minutes if it's really that vital? So it's not getting 23 really, on Rotten Tomatoes.
So for me, the only thing that could make the movie better in the director's cut, like if I were going to watch it again, which I really don't have a desire to do that, is if they put some sort of segues between the planets that makes us give a shit about the characters. But I honestly don't think that's what we're going to get. I think the director's cut is going to be...
There might be some of those, but the thing is, I'm not expecting A-grade dialogue from Zack Snyder.
Right.
That's the thing. Like, I think most of the stuff's just going to be like gore or like R-rated violence, where like the guy gets
blood,
his head
maybe extended grape scenes, probably with these characters, most likely. I mean, I just don't see any way, and I'm not going to spoil how this movie ends. I'll put it out there. It ends on a really bad cliffhanger because it is a 2-part movie, and I don't know when does the second half come out? Do you know when the second one comes out?
It's first half of next year. I think it's April or May.
Okay.
Or March? Is it March, April, or May?
Yeah, I don't know if I care or not. Like, to be honest, the issue is that in order for people to care about the second movie, you have to set the first one up really well. And he had the opportunity to do that. But April. So Jasmine said it's April. So, well, JK, I could say SA, which stands for something assault. But yeah, YouTube will come in and smack down the whole video for saying that enough times. So yeah, okay, I didn't talk a lot about this. So the one interesting thing they do touch on is that the robots in this world have programming, but they also have emotion, at least from what I can tell. And the droid robot starts out in the first act being very interesting, and then we get nothing of that till the very end of the movie. And then it's just an established shot of this robot with antlers on its head. So hopefully they follow through on that in the second film. But it was a missed opportunity in this movie to not have that droid more present.
So you mean it's like C-3PO?
What do you mean? Like in what way? I mean, yes, it is like C-3PO, but I'm saying, like, do you think the character is characterized like C-3PO as well, the droid, or no?
Well, no, he sounded like he was almost like an exposition character for the most part, especially that.
You know what, like, but that was his whole movie, though. I could say that about everybody. I'm not saying that's not bad, but like this movie is like this. Like if I was Paigey, do you remember the story of Samantha and the walnut? And then I sit here and tell him the whole story, and then Paigey goes, "Oh, I'm gonna go check out this thing connected to that. And the next time he comes back around, it's like, well, I went to this place. Hey, do you remember when this happened to that? I mean, that's pretty much what the movie is. Like every character that and I say every one, we don't get it from a lot of them, but every character that gives us any kind of story about stuff, it's literally a info dump in the movie. So Tom says it's weird to set out to make a director's cut before. Clear marketing ploy, no reason for a PG-13 version on a streaming platform. I don't understand either. I don't know why that is either. Like, if you're making this for Zack Snyder fans, there's no reason for it to be PG-13. What's the purpose of doing that? I actually think based on this reception, the second half doesn't need a director's cut. Just release it as it is. Just release it as a rated R version, because I don't think it matters. Which, by the way, this being PG-13, the SA stuff that happens in it and the violence in it feels beyond PG-13 for me. It feels like it goes a little bit further than PG-13. I mean, maybe it doesn't within the standards of the, FTC or whatever. Or not FTC, FFC. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think they need to bother with a 2-hour cut, to be honest. I'm gonna ask a question to the chat before we wrap this up. Do you think that if they release and I'm curious because Pagey's gonna say no, but I'm gonna ask anyway. Do you think that the director's cut of this, like the 3-hour version that's rated R, was released, that it would be more well received? Or do you think it would have the same problems? I'm just curious what people think. I know Pagey's going to say yes, it would probably still have the same problems. Because you don't think the extra hour is going to correct any of the issues with the movie, right?
Well, no, it just seems like the foundation of this is arse. So I don't know how more arse could fix it being arse. It's the characters of the issue, the actual story, and the different plot things. Like, it might improve certain things about you caring about the characters. That's the only thing I could really see. Is that you have you actually might have a bit more of an emotional tie to a character or something. But the overall thing, I would be shocked if it's like makes it any actually properly better. Like, to be honest, out of 10, fuck me, 2 maybe.
I'm gonna be totally disrespectful. Yeah, it's like a 1 or 2.
It's
totally
like a 1 or a 2. It's like,
I'm sorry.
It's like I would never watch it again, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Because the one thing that if you have Netflix and you could watch this completely without having to go pay for a ticket in a movie theater, I would still say it's probably not worth your time to watch. Because I don't think the acting is good. Maybe even Charlie Hunnam, but even then, he's doing this weird accent which isn't his normal voice.
Yeah,
I don't know what he was trying to do.
Which, by the way, why does it matter? Why does it matter in this world? Just use your normal accent. Why are you?
Yeah, like in Star Wars, you had American people, British people, and stuff, and they weren't living on the same planet or from the same area. I think the acting's arse for the most part. The characters are non-existently written correctly, or just even any development. I would say the visuals look weird. I think the only decent part of CGI consistently is probably that droid, but he's only in the beginning and end, really. Yeah. So you only see him for a bit.
Somebody said that they think they were saving all the money for the second film because this movie had a $170 million budget for both films together because it was all filmed as one. Do you think that's true or not? Do you think they saved all the money for the second film?
Maybe, but I don't care about flashy explosions and stuff like that if I'm not meant to care about anything else in the movie.
As bad as it was in this movie, I don't think it matters because it wasn't well done.
Yeah, I don't know.
Problem.
You know what the thing is? Apparently they're doing part 2 comes out. I think was it Jasmine that said April, but I don't think the director's cuts for either come out until after. So you can't watch the director's cut of the first one before part 2 comes out. You have to watch part 2, aka probably more arse part 1.
I feel like they were trying to milk the same cow over and over again is what they're trying to do, and it's not going to work.
What do you mean? In the actual film itself?
No, I mean the idea that it's part 1 comes out, it's PG-13. People want to see the director's cut, so they're not going to watch some people are not going to watch it till the director's cut comes out. The people that watch this one probably aren't going to watch the director's cut. And then part 2 is supposed to come out. It's going to be PG-13. You've already burned the people that watched the original one because they're like, this isn't good. So they're not going to come back and watch the second one. So nobody's really going to watch that second one because the people that got burned in the first one aren't going to watch the second one. And the people that are waiting for the director's cut are just going to wait for both the director's cuts to drop. So I don't know who's going to be watching that second film. So it feels to me like they're just trying to milk. They thought people were going to watch every single one of them. The first one, the second one, and then watch them again. I think that's what
I don't know. I've had like a nightmare whilst talking because I've just seen JK's thing in the chat. There's a third film that they want to make. They won't make a decent first one.
Well, a lot of people think that the director's cut might be better, but still underwhelming. Look, the only time a director's cut, and even then I find it very hard to call it a director's cut, actually made something more watchable was this Justice League that came out, the one that came out on HBO Max. And that one to me wasn't even another cut of the movie. It felt like a completely different film.
That's not a director's cut in my opinion. A director's cut to me is something like Zack Snyder, fun enough, like his Watchmen things,
Right.
Or I don't know if you watch like the Green Lantern extended cut, it makes the movie a bit better, which is a director's cut.
Fode says that they thought this one was really good, the one that came out already.
I mean, each their own. I heavily disagree. I thought it was booty poo.
Yeah. So JK does say there's supposed to be a trilogy or whatever. I don't.
Ugh.
I don't know. I think so. I think this is what I think happened. I think Netflix hoped that Snyder's fans would show up in droves, even though we've seen this doesn't work. I'm gonna go out and say Snyder's kind of the M. Night Shyamalan of like his type of movies. Like he has a fan base that seems to think that everything he does is so amazing, but the return on it just isn't there. We don't see the support for it. You know what I mean? So I don't know if Netflix has been, sort of just tricked or, bamboozled by Snyder, but to put all of this time and investment in something they think is going to be the next Star Wars, I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see this universe being that interesting. When you make something that is so derivative of so many different things, as Paigey said, there were so many things in this movie that just felt like they were other things. When it's so derivative and nothing about it feels unique, you run into the problem of, why do I care? Because the stuff that I actually love is better than this. And the people that have been asking for a more adult Star Wars, well, congratulations, you got it. And if this is what it's going to be, this would suck, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't even know what people mean by adult Star Wars. What do you mean, like they run around with their boobs out? Like, what's adult
Just
Star Wars?
more violence and more blood and stuff like that, I think is what they want. More SA, I guess.
You know what I mean? You know how I feel about that. I think that's like almost like, I mean, I don't want to be offensive, but I feel like that's like small brain activity.
You can be offensive.
Look good.
Jeffrey says,
no, I'm not going to be like you, dropping slurs and stuff like that.
That's I know. That's totally
for your edgy streams.
Totally irresponsible. Jeffrey says, hi, Eric. Merry late Christmas. Well, it depends on where you are in the world. Some people are still celebrating, but thank you. And Paigey. So threw you in there as well. So it is a late Christmas for Paigey. It's actually beyond Boxing Day at this point. Or no, is it
Boxing?
It is Boxing
4 p.m. Day. It's 4 p.m. on Boxing Day.
It's supposed to be a comic book too. Yeah, I did hear about that. There is a tie-in comic that's supposed to be coming out for this.
Oh God.
Wow. Holy crap. That's wild. Anyway, I don't recommend it. However, I will say if you enjoyed the first Aquaman movie, the current film is probably going to be fun if you want to go check it out. I don't think it's as good as the first movie, but it is in that same universe. And, you'll have to determine if the third act works for you or not. The third act for me is where everything sort of fell apart, but we'll see. Kai says, I don't understand the notion some people have that being R-rated will make you feel better. That's not true. I don't agree with that either. I don't think an R rating makes something better. Actually, I think the limitations of not being R pushes people to be better. I think an R rating, sometimes people go too far and it sort of ruins it for me.
I'll say this, with an R rating, you have to be a bit more creative with action scenes and stuff like that. You just can't have someone get chopping their head off. Like you have to, be more creative in regards to that.
Yeah. Fode says, I bet you a lot of people are going to watch the director's cut to see if it's good, as good as the first one. I would actually say I think a lot of people that watch the director's cut probably want to see if it's better than the first one.
I was going to say, if it's just good in general.
Yeah.
I'm not even trying to
I'll just stick with Andor if I want adult Star Wars. I love Andor too, but a lot of people, I've heard that's been very divisive amongst people. That
Andor, by the way, speaking of Andor, that was the thing I couldn't get it. I was distracted for like the first 15 minutes of the movie. The guy that plays Gunner looks like Diego Luna It's
Oh,
Diego
yeah.
Luna that plays Andor.
Yeah.
I was like, I was confused. Is this the same actor? I was, just the look-alike. It was, because I think I'd seen him in other stuff. I don't know what the actor's name is off the top of my head.
I was trying to see. Somebody asked here about season 2 of or part 2 of Invincible. I don't know if anybody knows. It's gonna be Cody. There's no specific window that I can see here. It just says 2024. So there we go. Bob says, I liked Aquaman 2 a lot. I agree on the third act, but Aquaman is my favorite superhero, so I went in biased in the movie's favor. That's okay though. I mean, I don't really have an issue with that. I think the bias is fine. My issue with Aquaman is I feel like the third act was where a lot of the reshoots happened, and I think it was reactions to poor reception to some of the early viewings of the film. And I wish I could have seen what the third act would have looked like without studio meddling. But there we go. Anyway, that's pretty much it. We are out of here. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Hope you had a great holiday this past weekend, Christmas and such. And if you're celebrating Boxing Day, I hope you get some stuff you want and you return things to the store. Did you take anything back?
Well, I would have taken Rebel Moon back if that was an option, but at least remove it from your head, like mine. Like, Netflix? Can you wipe this out, please? Thank you.
I knew Cody knew. Invincible season 2 part 2 comes out on the 4th. So there we go.
I haven't watched any of that, so
I love it. I'm excited for it. It's really good this season. I want to see more Battle Beast. But if you enjoy this stream, make sure you leave a like down below. If you're watching this on playback, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about either of these movies, if you've seen them or not. And I will be live tomorrow night on my second channel. So if you want to follow me over there, we'll be talking about Twitter stuff. And I'm going to even add Reddit stuff in this week. So we're going to do Twitter and Reddit over there, which could be quite interesting. Reddit is not quite as bad as Twitter, but it's really close. So there we go. Anyway, see everyone later. Have a great night. Take care. Peace out.